Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Let me show you how to export a portion of a larger video as a separate file on your Mac. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So let's say you have a long video. Now if you want to use that in an iMovie or Final Cut Pro project, the problem is bringing in that large video makes the project huge. But if all you want is a small clip from that large video, it pays to export that clip first to a separate file and then just use that small clip in the project. Now if you try to do this using iMovie or Final Cut Pro, it kind of defeats the purpose. You have to create this big project just to export this small clip. But you can do it using the simple QuickTime player that's on your Mac. This will allow you to open the video, export just a portion of it without ever creating some big other project or file in between. As an example, let's take this 10-minute video here, which is an old ephemeral film. And let's say we just want a portion of this. So in QuickTime Player there are some editing tools. There are two ways to approach this. First, let's just use trim. I'll go to Edit and then Trim or Command T. And this brings up that special interface here at the bottom. Now I can select just the part that I want. And when I get to that one part, I can click Trim. Now I can go to File, Save. And it's not going to save over the existing video, but instead asks to save something new. So I could call this Clip 1 and save it to the desktop. Notice how fast it does that. It's not exporting the video. It's actually just taking that clip and putting it in a separate file. So it's not reprocessing everything. So now I've got these two files here. This first one is 238 megs and you can see it's almost 10 minutes long. This small clip that I exported, this one's only 17 megs and it's just 38 seconds long. So now I can bring this small clip into the iMovie project and keep the iMovie project relatively tight without bringing in this huge 200 meg file. And in many cases it could be a lot worse than that. Shooting a long 4K video on your iPhone could give you a file that's several gigabytes in size. And if you just want a portion of that, you can use this technique to have a small file, bring that into iMovie instead of increasing your iMovie project size by those several gigabytes. Now when you've exported the clip and maybe you want to export another clip, all you need to do is use undo, just Command Z, and you're back to the original video. Then you could do Command T again and trim to export another section. Another thing I want to point out is if you want precision, notice how you don't get too much precision here because the entire video is in this really short timeline here. But if you have a trackpad and you click and then you force click, just click even harder, it actually zooms in. And now you have great precision over exactly where to put the start or the end of the trim. Now there's another method you could use as well that might work better in some situations. Instead of going to trim, use the split clip function. So first let's go somewhere in the middle here. And it might be easier to navigate around to play the video and get to exactly where you want to start. Although if you're going to be using this in another editor like iMovie or Final Cut, it pays to get a little bit extra at the beginning and at the end, especially if you're not sure the exact parts of the clip that you want, or you might want to add transitions. So you go a little bit before, but let's say I want to start here. I could do Edit and then Split Clip or simply Command Y. And this goes into a very similar looking interface here, but you can see the two parts. Now you don't have to stop here before you export. You can grab this red line and drag it somewhere else and do a split right there. And continue to do it and break out just the parts that you need. Maybe some of these pieces you need, like maybe I need this one, I don't need this, but I do need this. Now you could go in and delete the parts that you don't want. So I'm going to use the Command key to select all the parts I don't want. Leave that part. Then I'm going to hit Delete. And now I just have this portion here. Now I could go and save. And let's call this Clip 2. And you can see it appear here. Now I simply undo and it brings all those parts back. So now I can use the Command key and click, reselect that part, deselect this part, delete, and now I just have that section. And now I could save and call this Clip 3. and then once again undo. And now whether you're using the trim method or you're using this method, you could simply close this. The original is not going to change. If I go back into the original now, you can see it's still 10 minutes long. It doesn't have those sections at all. If I go into split again or trim again, you can see it's kind of starting fresh there. So this isn't going to affect the original. But if you go to close this, it will ask you if you want to save this. But you see it says export as. So no, of course, you don't want to save what's left over here. You're just going to press delete and you have your original video right there. And then you have your small clips right here ready to use in your editing software without having to ever bring in this big, heavy, long video. And that's just a sample of what you can do using the editing tools in QuickTime Player. It's ideal for doing things like trimming video, exporting clips like this, or even rearranging clips inside of the video. You can do that easily without ever having to use iMovie, Final Cut Pro, or something else. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.